Why you got your glasses on?
Because it's bright in my eyes.
It is a little bright. Go ahead.
All right, y'all. Welcome to another video. It's been a minute. It's always been a minute.
It seems like it.
But we're sitting down today on this Sunday the 5th, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, Sunday the 5th, you watching this video. We are boondocking on public land in Utah. And that's what this video is all about. Some of our top tips, experiences with boondocking. So I'm gonna let Jess start it off and I'll chime in when needed, I guess.
She'll supplement. So
yeah,
we're currently in the Dixie National Forest, about 20 minutes from Bryce Canyon, so the national park, and we have a great spot. You'll see some pictures. We do have some neighbors. Both us and the neighbors got in here late, and we needed big camps, and it was pitch black, so we didn't want to go exploring down all the little forest service roads at 9 o'clock at night in the pitch black. So we just picked a big field, and here we are. We were able to situate ourselves so we don't see anybody out front of us, but there's some neighbors behind us. You might be able to see behind the deck behind us. So anyways,
right.
Yeah, it's all worked out really good. It's still way better than a campground. Our last campground that we stayed in, we were literally 10 feet away from our neighbors, and it sucked. It was nice to have full hookups, but the whole being 10 feet away from your neighbors sucked, and there was like 100 campers arranged that way.
My thing fell off. We were fidgeting with my mic. Sorry about the noise if y'all and the pop think this came off just now. Rolled down my leg.
All right, so mic problems.
Yeah.
So we're sitting out here, no neighbors really in front of us. We can see somebody over there a little ways, a couple hundred yards over there. We can kind of see them. We can ride the bikes with the dogs off leash. We can walk with the dogs off leash. We can do all kinds of stuff. We have lots of freedom here. And it's all because we're boondocking. And we've been boondocking in the last 45 days. We've been boondocking 40 out of 45 days. 5 days in a campground. And the 2 campgrounds that we stayed at, unimpressive and expensive. Mm-hmm. And that leads us to one of the reasons why we're boondocking is we did a month thereabouts in and around Yellowstone, and Yellowstone is crowded this year, and there's no campsites available. And if you do find a campsite available for a day or two, it's expensive. The prices were running $70 to $120 a night, and you spend10 nights there, you're almost at $1,000. So it was pretty expensive, and we didn't want to be in crowded campsites because most of them, unless you're even in the park, they're kind of crowded. Outside the park, they're really crowded. Down at Jackson, we spent $100 a night for 3 nights because of poor planning on our part. We didn't mean to, but the campground was still under construction. It was all gravel. There was nothing there but a gravel pad and hookups. And it was $100 a night. I mean, can you believe it? $100 a night for a gravel pad. So one of the reasons why we've been doing a lot of boondocking is because there aren't any campsites available where we want to be, and it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, the campsites are free. We stayed outside of Jackson, Wyoming for 11 days. We overstayed our stay there, but we kind of made nice with the person that checked, and we stayed for 11 days there, and we were literally 20 minutes from Teton National Park. Yep. It was the closest campsite you could get to without being in the park. And then we stayed in Island Park, Idaho, and it was 20 minutes from Yellowstone, and it was free, and we had a huge campsite with nobody around us. We did have to share it with some cows. That was kind of funny. There was cows in there for a little while. Yep. When we came back through there, the cows were mostly gone, so it's hit or miss, I guess, for the cows. And then we stayed outside of Gardner, Montana, in a dispersed camping right on a river. I mean, literally right on the river. Yep. Big campsites, free. We stayed there for almost 2 weeks. Beautiful campsite, and again, 20 minutes from Yellowstone, so real close. So it's not like we've been out and about and out in the middle of nowhere. We've been right where we wanted to be. So highly recommend boondocking, and it doesn't take that much to get equipped for boondocking, and that's what we want to talk about, because we've ran into a couple people like, well, we'd do it if we could, but we're not set up for it. And I got to thinking, I'm like, our first couple years of boondocking, we weren't set up for it either. Our first couple of years of camping. We are now. We're really well set up for it now, but you don't need all the stuff we have. We've got solar, which makes it really nice. We've got gas tanks in the toy hauler, which makes it really nice. And we've got a big water tank, but we don't fill up that water tank because it makes our pin weight pretty heavy. So we've stopped putting a bunch of water in there. So we don't take advantage of that. So what we wanted to talk about, now that we've rambled on forever.
I tell Jeff all the time, he said, like, we having like a full-blown conversation.
That's what we're doing, right?
I hope y'all like that format, because that's what we do, apparently.
Yep. So what you need for boondocking, if you're going to do some boondocking, you need power, you need water, and you need to do something with your waste. And those are really the big things you need.
Yep.
So our first couple years of camping, we were using our Cedar Creek that had a 59-gallon water tank, and we had a pair of Champion inverter generators that were 3,100 watts apiece. And the two generators would run everything that we needed to run, including our air conditioners. And then we had an inverter that we used with 4 6-volt batteries for when we didn't want to run the generator. So our power was 2 generators, an inverter, and 4 6-volt batteries. So less than $2,000 invested total for all those things. The trailer came with the batteries. We installed the inverter ourselves, which is pretty easy. And you don't have to have an inverter. You can just use the generator. And the generators were, at the time, roughly $500 a piece, maybe $600 a piece. They weren't too terribly expensive. So if you do the math, the generators plus the gas still don't add up to what we've saved in camping expenses in just this trip.
Yeah.
We currently have a Westinghouse 4500 iGen that you can look at our YouTube. We did a review on it. It's actually done pretty good. We haven't been disappointed with it. It caused us a couple of hassles here and there, but all in all, it's been pretty good. So you can get that for $900. It's a 4,500 watt generator. It'll power 1 AC and the rest of the stuff you need. And if you camp where we've been camping, we haven't needed AC hardly at all. I think we've ran AC, 2 nights? 3 nights maybe?
Since we've been boondocking?
Yeah.
That's because we got hot. We was doing chores.
Yeah, we were actually making the bed,
Making the
of
bed,
all things.
doing the laundry away,
Yeah.
last laundry day.
But we're in the mountains, so it's been cool. And if you plan accordingly, you can avoid running AC. So you need power. And power can be as simple as a generator. And you can get a generator for less than $1,000. Boondock for 30 days, you've paid for your generator. The other thing you need is water. Now, we go through about 10 to 15 gallons of water a day, and that is not being conservative. Generally, I shower every day, maybe every other day. We do the dishes, we drink from our water tank, we do all that stuff. We're not crazy like some people and carry all our bottled water and only do that kind of stuff. We use our water tanks to our full advantage. And we carry about 30 gallons of water with us in the RV now. What we've done is we got a aqua tank, and it's a 60-gallon water bladder. We got our aqua tank water bladder, and we just fill that up and refill our fresh water as needed. In fact, when we're going to a site, we'll fill that up so that when we get to the site, we arrive with about 90 gallons of fresh water. And then we've got a $50 Amazon special water pump to transfer the water because we don't have gravity feed in our trailer. Our trailer requires pressure in order to get water into it. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you could use the winterized setting on your RV, and it'll pump water into your fresh water. Everybody's settings are going to be slightly different, but you can actually use your built-in water pump to pump water into your water tank using the winterized settings. The water bladder was, I think, $150 on Amazon, and they range in sizes. You can get them from all the way down to 6 gallons, and if you go with different manufacturers, you can get them all the way up to a couple hundred gallons. We picked the 60-gallon because it fits nicely in the back of the Jeep, and it works out well. So we just get water every couple days. Finally, the last thing you need for boondocking is be able to do waste disposal. We've got a pretty big black tank. We can go 2 weeks between the two of us on a black tank. In fact, we moved out of our last boondocking spot
yes.
because our black tank was full. We moved a day early, and that's just what we did. Alternatively, we could have broke out our Blue Boy, which we do carry.
Which we haven't used in a long time.
Yeah, we've got a macerator pump, which you can buy on Amazon for that as well, with some garden hose, and you can actually pump your black tank into your Blue Boy on your vehicle, carry that down to a dump station and dump it if you need to. We prefer to try to avoid that just because of the hassle. It's an option if we wanted to stay someplace long, but most of these dispersed camping sites allow you to stay anywhere from 10 to 16 days, and our black tank generally does this for as long as we stay there. Our gray tank, there's lots of options for gray tanks. I'm not going to discuss that here. You can
Figure it out.
you can figure it out on your own. But gray tank is dishwater. Some places actually recommend you dump it on the ground. Some places say no. Figure out your gray tank situation on your own. You can get into discussion groups and do some Google searching and see what people do for gray tank and gray water. There's lots of options out there. But those are really all you need. So for a generator, spend $1,000 on a generator, spend a couple $100 for a water bladder, and you can get yourself at least a couple days. And I'm not talking about being out here and homesteading, but you know, if you want to go visit Yellowstone for the weekend, 3 days, and not have to pay the campground fees and not have to deal with the lack of availability, you should be able to get by for 3 days with that. And that's an investment that will allow you so much flexibility.
Yes.
You will also be able to do Harvest Host, which is another way that we like to travel, but some people don't do Harvest Host because you have to be completely fully self-contained. So it allows you to do Harvest Host, Boondockers Welcome, all the national forest lands, all kinds of stuff. It just gives you a huge amount of flexibility.
Sorry, guys.
And then the dog wants to come get in here. What else do we got? Yeah, we did it on our Cedar Creek with just generators, and that was it. Generators and the inverter. Being able to carry gas is nice. We're able to carry gas in the toy hauler, but we also have the regular 5-gallon gas cans that you can fill up and stick in the back of your truck, so it's not a big deal. We did that for a long time.
No. I'm going to put you up.
It's been really, all I can say is it's been really good boondocking for us for the last month and a half because it's given us flexibility and we've had great campsites and we've not been crowded and the dogs have been able to run free a lot. We've been able to have our fences out. Life has been good. What you think? What do you got to add?
You covered everything. Water.
Oh yeah, some people talk about security with boondocking too. And it's been our experience. We carry at a minimum bear mace with us because, you know, we're in bear country a lot recently.
Yeah.
At a minimum, we've got that, and we've got 2 dogs, so I'm not really too worried about security issues, but we have never had any security threat or even felt threatened at any of our boondocking spots.
No.
You can figure out your self-defense for yourself. I'm not going to go into that because that gets somewhat controversial, but we've felt safe everywhere we've been, and we've never even felt a need for self-defense where we've been. We leave our stuff outside quite often. We lock up the big things like the generator and the bikes and stuff like that, but the truck's drum box with all its stuff and all the toolboxes on the truck are open. We never lock our storage compartments on our RV.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I am a security, lock everything. Jeff.
Candace would like to lock it all up.
Jeff is loose.
Nobody's gonna bother it.
Yeah.
And I got insurance, right? So if big stuff gets stolen, we got insurance. If little stuff gets stolen, I guess they needed it worse than we did.
I guess so. But anyway, so you was asking me if I anything to add.
Yeah.
You kind of cut me off.
I did. That was rude. What you got to add?
I really can't. I feel like you covered everything. I'm trying to think if you missed anything. Water, dumping. I reiterate when you're scouting your spots.
Yeah, if you're good at okay, go ahead. I cut it off again. Nope. I'm not gonna do it.
Well, one, like you said in the beginning, we got here late. We still ain't learned our lesson. Well, we have learned it, but we still kind of don't always abide. Get here early. The tent, is that what you was gonna say?
No, go ahead. Share with them.
Oh, the tent. What I mean by the tent is we bought an inexpensive tent. So when you scout your places, depending on where you're at, it might be busy. with other people. So you leave your rig. First of all, always come check out where you're going, your spot before you bring your rig up. So obviously we got a second vehicle, the Jeep or bike when we didn't have the Jeep,
Yep.
ride the bike up. But in this boondocking case, finding the spots, we got an inexpensive tent to put up if we find a spot. So when we go back to get our rig, nobody comes to take our spot. So that's what I would add. I don't think that was
I
on
didn't
your
cover
list.
that. And how did we discover that little problem?
We just discovered that when we was up in Zion. That's Utah still, but
Yep.
we're
What happened?
We found a spot and it took a while to get back and it got taken.
Yeah.
So we learned the hard way, and Jeff has a thing of looking for 100 spots and custom ground. I'm like, just pick a spot. We should have left the Jeep back at the spot. It was one of our very first boondock spots from a couple years ago, or?
No, that was this year, but it's our first boondock. It was our first boondocking spot since camping blew up in the last year or two.
Okay.
It wasn't as busy before, and we were boondocking kind of in the winter too, which is not a super busy time.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago though.
No, that was just the first time.
Year?
No, we got it stolen just with Jacob.
No, I know, but we stayed in that same place.
Oh yeah, that was
before.
one of our spots a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really all I had to say. Have something. If you don't have a tent or a canopy, works too. If you got if you got a second tow vehicle, leave the spot. Your significant other, go back and get the rig and then come to your spot.
Yeah.
Because it's a highly chance that it could get taken.
Yep, and most boondocking spots will start to be full by around 5 o'clock at night. So try to get there a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
People will move on in the morning, but at nighttime, by 5 or 6 o'clock at night, most of the popular spots will start to fill up. This spot that we're at right now, we've explored it. If you're smaller, you'll never not have a spot. If you're huge like we are, you got some issues.
Yep. So that's all I got to add.
Is it?
For boondocking.
I had something else, but I forgot. It escaped my mind.
Maybe we'll pop it in.
Looking at my list.
Later.
I don't know. I had something else, but it went
If
away.
y'all got any boondocking tips, share them.
Yeah.
And we can always, I'm sure it'll be things we could come up with and make another video too. So.
Yeah, and we can always learn from other people. That's one of the great things about the community is that you share your tips and tricks and learn from the other people.
Yep. Is that it?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, y'all know the typical YouTube jargon. Give us a thumbs up. Comment on this video. Share this video if you found it helpful. You thought it's helpful. It probably helped someone else. So please share. Hit the notification bell for when we do drop video.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a little bit more often. I did. Now I remember.
Oh, now I remember.
So now that we're gonna ramble some more. So
yes, not me.
We've been working some extra work, and it's been taking up our free time. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's just been a busy time of life for us.
Another,
one thing after another. Stay tuned here. We're going to go ahead and go through some of our setup and our tips and transferring the water and all that stuff, and maybe show you a couple of our boondocking spots so that you can get an idea what it's like when you're boondocking. I'm telling you, once you start boondocking, it'll ruin you for campsites unless you go to resorts.
I admit that, definitely.
Yeah, it ruins you for campsites. Campsites are so freaking crowded.
Yeah.
The other thing, so I mentioned.
We was closing.
I know.
Second closing. Go ahead,
we don't
baby.
need to do a second closing. It's just
Finish
a little
up.
story. And so Yeti Dog out here just a minute ago. Our last 2 spots ago, we had cows in our spot, and the cows were very docile. And he would go out and bark at them, and they'd run away. And it was kind of funny because the big old animal running away from little bitty dog. So we got here, and we came back from a bike ride, and there were some cows in our yard because this is another place where they free roam. So we get back, and Yeti Dog runs up to the cows, and these cows are not docile.
No.
They had some youngsters with them, and he almost got stomped, and then the cows ran up to the fence, and they were sitting outside the fence.
He wasn't that close. He was far away enough.
He was.
Because I got him in the fence before.
But it was funny, the cows got really irritated, and then they came up to the fence, and they were sitting there outside the fence snorting and mooing really loud at them.
And coming closer to the fence,
but they were afraid of humans, so I went out and chased them off, and they left. It was kind of funny.
We're not afraid, but they know.
Yeah, they know not to mess.
Yeah.
So just be aware, especially out here in Utah and free range territory, there's a lot of cows, it seems to be.
Yep, that get to free roam. But anyways, so that's it. You sure?
Yeah, I'm done now.
That's it. And I actually thought of one more thing.
Oh, now you're going to ramble.
And we're closing. We're closing. I was just going to say, one of the things that I'll have to get used to is more conserving of the water. I told Jeff, this is the only one thing I don't like. I can't be free with the water.
Yeah, Candace can use a lot of water.
But anyways, that's it,
But she's doing good lately.
I'm doing better. Like, comment, share. See you in the next video. We love you guys. Thank you for watching.
This is our solution to water when we're boondocking. We got an aqua tank water bladder. This is 60 gallons, and you can fill it up. It fits nicely in the vehicle, and this gives us about 4 days worth of water. We go through about 10 to 15 gallons of water a day. So we just hook that up, and then we've got a little transfer pump that we use. I'll show you that here in a second. It was a nice cheap buy off of Amazon, and we just pump the water in. If you have gravity feed to your RV, you may not need a transfer pump, but our particular water setup needs a transfer pump to push the water into the tank. So this is our little transfer pump that we bought off of Amazon. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks. Anyways, it comes with a little hose to go to the water bladder, electrical cord to go to your outlet, and then on the other side you have your outlet for the hose to go to the RV. And we will go ahead and pump water in there a little bit. You'll be able to see it in action. If you want a DC version of it to hook to your batteries, they also have those, so it's a good option for you. But that'll move that 60 gallons worth of water in about 15 minutes. It's kind of slow, but it gets the job done. So here we are transferring the water. Takes about 20 minutes to do because the pump is kind of slow. We've got our connector on there, and it just runs down to our pump, to our hose, and over to our freshwater fill. And again, the reason why we use a pump is because ours doesn't have a gravity feed. But this will put 60 gallons of water in there in about 20 minutes. Gives us about 4 days worth of water. Another consideration for boondocking is power. And we've got this Westinghouse iGen 4500 watt generator that we use for our power if the solar's not doing the job. You don't have to have solar. We did a couple years with a pair of Champion generators, and we did plenty of boondocking with it. So we hook this up and we run it whenever we need power. The nice thing about this is it's got a remote start, so we can just push the button inside once we get it all hooked up. If you're boondocking, make sure you have something hooked up to lock it up so that it doesn't walk away from you. We also have your classic red gas can for fuel, and because we have a toy hauler, we have fuel tanks on our toy hauler with a pump station that we use right there. But again, you don't have to have this stuff to boondock. All you have to have is a gas can and a generator. No need for solar, no need for big gas tanks or anything like that. It all works. The propane tanks that you see here are because it's a little bit cool here in the morning, so we like to run the heater to take the chill off, and we use our Camco Wave 8 heater in order to take the chill off in the morning. It's a little bit more efficient than the big propane heater that's built into the RV. This is our Camco heater. We did a review on this on our YouTube channel, so you can look and see that, but we bought this when we were in Michigan last year. It's really good for taking the chill off in the morning and supplemental heat when you're not attached to electricity and using space heaters, especially for the garage, which has only electric heat in it. It doesn't have any heating vents like the rest of the RV.